All right, good morning, everybody. I am so glad we're all here together, even though it is remote. I think this is the whole new world of working remotely. So I'm really glad you could all join me today because I'm really excited to share with you some insights around how you can display self-leadership, even when you're working from home. This is going to be a really new environment for a lot of people, is working from home. It can feel a little bit isolated. But now's a really great opportunity to, I guess, leverage some of the skills and behaviours that you've got and really continue to accelerate in your career. So we're going to give you some tips and tricks. We also had a link included in the invitation, which invited you to take the PI behavioural assessment. And if you did that, it would have sent your results instantly. A lot of you on the call are PI clients of mine, so please feel free to pull out your results if you can, because we're going to go through those with you and talk to you a little bit about, well, how does your profile actually help you identify what your natural leadership style is? And also some of the challenges you might face with working from home. We're all going to face different challenges based on our profile. So it's good that we can preempt some of those things and put some plans in place around those. So I'm going to jump in. There is a chat option available on this webinar, so feel free to chat with myself. I'll be taking questions throughout, so please feel free to put your questions in there, or even raise your hand. I can unmute you if you want to ask a question. We absolutely want to, I want to hear from all of you. For me, for those of you who do know me, you know I'm a pretty outgoing person. I'm going to find working from home full-time pretty challenging because I don't get to be face-to-face with all of you. So please do ask questions. We want as much interaction as possible. So, all right, we're going to jump into it. I just wanted to give you a bit of a quick overview of Red Wolf in terms of what we do. And our vision has always been around empowering workplaces, empowering you to ignite, inspire, and nurture leaders, extraordinary leaders at all levels. And that's really what some of this work is about. And you can see that we're a certified PI partner. So lots of the work we do involves Predictive Index and helping you really understand yourself and your colleagues and how to get best fit in roles. So now we're going to start off with something a little bit different. And I'm actually going to ask you to get your phones out. So, and whether that's your phone or your laptop, and I actually want you to open a web browser on your laptop or your phone and go to www.menti.com. And you can see there's a code there. It's going to ask you for a code. And the reason why you've got to put that in is because we're going to be able to now have a look at some of our results. So what I'd like you to do is once you get onto Menti, is actually type in an answer. What does leadership mean to you? And we're going to be able to see everyone's results come up together. And I will show you this. We've already had someone come in. Excellent. All right. There we go. Empowerment, guiding others, growth. Great. So for those of you who haven't got on yet, go to menti.com, just on your phone if you've got your phone next to your desk. Menti.com in a web browser, and then there's that 6-digit code, 285263. Wow, we've got a lot here. Wisdom, growth, strong presence, leading by example. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. And balance, that's great. Authentic, inspiration, a few authentics, steering the ship. Yeah, and it's really interesting, isn't it, when you think about in the time of a crisis, how different people respond. And I guess you can see that by some of the economic things that have been happening even out shopping recently and how people deal with this type of crisis. And I guess leadership is so important now, but even self-leadership, how you choose to act, you're in control of yourself. And all of these things that we're seeing here, you can play a part in. Strong presence, I really love that one. And presence is quite hard when you're working remotely, isn't it? So, because it's all about different ways to communicate and being present with your team. Look at that, we've still got stuff coming in. To inspire, guidance, honesty. Honesty is a great sort of value for leaders, isn't it? And we're going to talk a little bit today actually about being authentic and really through looking at your own PI results, we're going to find out what your natural authentic leadership style is, because all of you are going to have a different way to be a leader for yourself and also for your colleagues. Emotional connection, love that one. Vulnerability, resilience. By the way, you can answer more than once. So if you've put one in and you want to put another one in, you can keep going. Making change. Some of you will be thriving on wanting to make change in a difficult environment. Guiding potential of that one. Empathy, transparency. These are all absolutely amazing. Clarity, resilience. And I think it's really interesting. So there's so many different things that encompass leadership. There's really no right or wrong here. It's really your view of leadership and what's important to you. And the reason why this is a great starting point is because you've got to work out, what does leadership mean to you? And how can you be very authentic to who you are on that journey? That's excellent, guys. All right, we're going to move forward. I hope you enjoyed that little quick interaction to get everyone somehow communicating with each other and sharing some ideas. All right, so we're going to switch over now. All right. So first things first, we're going to go through and talk a little bit about self-leadership. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a definition around self-leadership. And this sort of summarizes it beautifully. Self-leadership is having a developed sense of who you are, and that's where we're starting today. What you can do and where you're going, and really keeping that vision. In some of your commentary there was things about vision and leading into the future, driving change, in control of the ship. Coupled with the ability to influence your communication, emotion, and behaviours on the way to getting there. And I think that really beautifully sums up what self-leadership is, and really how we can hopefully develop some of our own leadership skills today. So, step one, let's have a look at our own profiles. So please feel free to pull those out if you've got them on file, but if not, you can sort of follow along, and you can always come back and have a look at your own results in context. So my gift to you is your own Predictive Index behavioural assessment results. And I want to explain to you really just in 1 minute, how do we get that type of information? And why do people behave the way they do? And we summarise it quite simply. We say that everybody has drives. Those drives create needs, and a behaviour is a response to that need. So think about one of the most core drives we all have is the drive to survive. Now, because we've got a drive to survive, it creates this need. And that need is usually hunger and thirst and, food, water, all those things. Our body responds with a need. And a behaviour is just us responding to that need. So we go out and eat and drink and build shelter and have safety. So those things tie into each other. The assessment that you took isn't actually measuring your behaviours. It's measuring how much of a driver you have. And the tool looks at 4 key drivers that are in relation to your workplace drivers. Those are, when we look at them, there's 4. So dominance, that's the drive to exert influence on people and events. And you can see there's a sliding scale there. Some people will have a lot of that drive, that dominance drive. And for them, they're really driven to exert influence on people and events. That creates a range of needs, and it also creates some behaviours that are a response to that need. We're going to go through that in a little bit. Then we've got extraversion, the drive for social interaction with other people. Some people will absolutely be driven by that. They'll find this period quite challenging, because for them, they're driven at work to have that social interaction and connection. And often phone and this type of interaction isn't enough to fulfill that drive. Then we've got patience, the drive for consistency and stability. How much of that drive you have will be dependent. We're going to go through that. And then the last one is the drive to conform to rules and structure. Some of you will be passionate about conforming to rules and structure and want to make sure things are done to a really high standard. And other people will have a much lower drive. So again, your results will be very unique to you. It's not in a box and out of a box. So your results will look something like this. There'll be a sliding scale, and you can see there's a midpoint with a little black triangle. Anything to the right of that is high in a drive, and anything to the left is low. And there's varying degrees. There's sort of moderately high, very high, extremely high, moderately low, very low, extremely low. So if you pull out your results up on that very top graph, which is your self graph, that's the graph we'll be looking at. for you and your profile. And you can see here that this person's got a moderately high A, because it's on that just slightly to the right of the triangle, very high B, which is the extraversion drive, moderately low patience, and very low formality. And that's going to create a really great picture of how that person wants and needs to turn up to work. So first we'll talk through the dominance drive, the drive to exert influence on people and events. So have a look at your results. Where is your A? Is it sort of moderately, high, very, or extremely? Or is it on the lower end? If it's on high end, want to mark ID, people, places. And so there's going to be a range of behaviours that will come out of that. And then you've got people who don't have a lot of that drive. They just want to include other people. It's more about team. It's more about everybody else. And you can see a little bit of a range of behaviours. Now, this really summarizes it in a little bit of a longer list for you. So the behaviors for the higher style dominance people, you are more independent, assertive, and self-confident, self-starting, all of those things there. You've got a strong competitive drive to get things done. Usually what you want to be in the driver's seat of your own career and at work. And then you've got people on the lower side. You're going to be more about team, thinking about everybody else, naturally very selfless. So your leadership styles are going to be very different. You can imagine you've got, let's say, a highly dominant person. How you're going to lead others and also yourself is going to be probably through a lot of discipline, through a lot of goal setting. And for you, whilst you're working from home, you need to think about setting some stretch goals for yourself. What are you going to commit to do every day? How are you going to get things done? How are you going to continue to win the day, still have a level of competitive nature, still be thinking about the future? Then we've got our less dominant people, and they're going to be thinking more about how can we work together through this period of time. They're really going to be thinking about the team, wanting to reduce the amount of conflict, and really ensuring harmony. And they're going to really bolster up the team and make sure the team gets through this period of time. So you can see very different styles. There's no right or wrong. There's just differences in styles. And then we've got extraversion, the drive to interact with other people. And you can see we've got this, I need to talk things out. I absolutely need to talk my ideas. I can't get my ideas unless I'm talking. And people who are more reflective, they want time to think things through. There will be an element of them getting more quiet space now that they're working from home. And if you're one of those people, there'll be an element of this that you go, great, I need to carve out some quiet time at work, at home. The challenge will be for some of us who are parents, depending on if you're going to have small children around more than you're used to, you may have to really carve out some space for you to be able to be productive at home. I myself will face that challenge with 2 little people. So that will bring with its challenges. And I think, we've all started to see that. I know I certainly have, with hearing kids on calls a little bit more than we're used to in a work environment. And it's really important we're patient with each other during this time. As we go into what are those needs and behaviours, we've got people who are definitely looking to be more outgoing, really wanting to sell ideas, meet new people. Now that's probably not going to happen for a little while. They're not going to get that social interaction. So this working from home is going to be quite challenging. So if you're on that more extroverted style of profile, make sure you're reaching out to your colleagues. And that could be on the phone, it could be Zoom. Just really deliberately make an effort to stay connected with your colleagues, because you're not going to have that inter-office chats that you're used to. And if you're more introspective, is the word I like to use, you're going to get a little bit more time to think things through. So you may find you actually increase your productivity during this time. You've got a little bit more space and hopefully some quiet time to probably put your head down and get through work. You may even find yourself being more productive whilst working from home. Next, we move into patience, the drive for consistency and stability. They're the people that like the familiar. They like their routine, like that little bit of stability at work, and they work really well in a familiar environment. And then you've got people who thrive on change and pressure and variety. Totally different styles when it comes to how you're going to find this working from home period of time. If you're on the more higher side of that midpoint, you will naturally be more patient, calm, and stable during this, challenging time. One of the things you're probably hearing a lot about is people just need to stay calm and make a conscious effort to support each other. People on that side of the room will hopefully naturally have an element of being calm, but you might find it challenging because you like that routine. and stability. You may find you're totally out of routine. You're not getting up at the same time. You're not doing your same public transport route to get to work. All the things that you've got set up may have totally been flipped on its head. Your business that you're in might be spinning and finding that challenging. So it's, again, important to have a think about where you sit here and how you're finding this time. And then if you're on the lower side in terms of being more tense, a little bit more restless, you're probably enjoying the little bit of change that you're getting. So think about what type of structure you will put in place for yourself now that everything's changed. We've got some really good questions coming through, so I want to make sure that we cover those off as well. I can hear from Olga. Hello, Olga. In terms of being, if you're on that lower extroversion, we'll just go back to that one actually. We'll sit on the lower extroversion scale. So the question was around if someone has a low B, but they're still challenged with the lack of interaction at home, does low B mean I'm not chatty? Not at all. We do find that even on that lower extroversion, you still want to, everybody still wants human connection. That's normal. It depends on how much you need. I think everybody, regardless of where you sit on this scale, is going to find being in somewhat isolation challenging. Absolutely. It's kind of a very unusual circumstance that we've all got ourselves in. And during times of, I guess, challenge and sometimes stress, we rely upon human connection. That's just a part of human nature to have that support. So I think everyone's going to find this piece a little bit more challenging, but I would say lean in a little bit to your profile. The fact is that you are quite introspective. You'll probably come up with great ideas through having some quiet time to think things through. So maybe carve out some time in your day where you're like, great, I'm going to put my headphones on, listen to some music, and I'm going to do some creative problem solving or start on a project, but still find ways to connect with others. And I want to go through another question because there's heaps of questions coming through, which is great. Will all the changes in the world unsettle high patient people? Great question. So I think all of the changes in the world unsettles a range of people. However, I certainly think that when we have change in business, we do find if you're in the more high patience end of the scale, you find change in business more unsettling. And if you have a look at what they need a stable work environment. They need familiar surroundings and a supportive team. And, they're usually quite loyal in terms of what drives them. So yes, they're absolutely going to find this challenging, but that's not to say that if you're not low patience, you're not going to find this challenging. I would say you'll lean into change a little bit easier. So pivoting and doing something a bit different might be easier. What you're going to find challenging is sitting down for long periods of time. So we say to people that you've got a strong sense of urgency, you find it hard to sit down for long periods of time. And if you're working from home, you can't just get up and go and have a chat with someone or move around. You're kind of going to be in a fixed location, which you're going to find challenging. And I've got someone laughing on the thing saying that they are struggling to sit still. And that's what I think all the low patient people will find. So as you can see, different people will have different reactions. It's really important. I mean, this is all about self-leadership and understanding what drives you. What do you need? And what are some of the challenges that you're going to face? And how can you be very aware of those and make sure that you address them for yourself? That's really that self-leadership piece. So we'll go through formality, the last one, the drive to conform to rules and structure. People who absolutely need that diligent, structured environment, and other people who are really loose around rules. Rules are guidelines. So you can see that if you're on the high side, really attentive to the details, precise, organized, disciplined, needing to know the rules. The challenge for this side of the room, or anybody who sits on that side, is that potentially the business that you're in is pivoting. And maybe there aren't rules around some of the things that they're asking you to do because no one's done it this way before. So you might find yourself feeling very unorganized and quite displaced in your job, depending on how your job might have even pivoted during this time. So for you, it's really important that you think about, well, how can I take control, put a little bit more organization into my day, be a bit more structured, and really take control of your own workday. Go to your manager, ask the questions that you need answered, and put some structure into your life. People that don't have a lot of this drive, that's myself, we actually don't want a lot of structure. The challenge you'll find is that you might feel a little bit more disorganized and, you know, a little bit more challenged by this because you're even more disorganized than you normally are. But you've got a really flexible approach. So there'll be parts of this where you won't have all the answers, you won't have all the rules and structure, and you'll be like, oh, well, let's just move forward. So you'll have a little bit more of a relaxed approach. I would encourage you, though, working from home can be really challenging. To stay organized and to be accountable, because there's no one around to see if you're working and you're not sitting on your phone chatting with someone. So it's up to you to be quite diligent and organized and set yourself really high standards in how you're going to continue to work. So I can see people agreeing with me. Sitting on the phone is very tempting, right? I mean, think how easy it is for us to all get our phones out and be like, great, I'm just going to sit here on my phone because no one's watching. Now, for those of you who do have your results, I want to show you, well, if you've got them, there's a section in your report down the very bottom, and it says management strategies. Now, these, you'll probably have 5 to 6 bullet points. These are very unique for you. So these are things that you need to be effective, productive, and have job satisfaction at work. Now, I put mine in here. Your 6 will be very different. I'd like you to think about all of those 6 things. Are there going to be some things that you're not going to be able to have in this environment of working from home? Are there things that, great, I'm definitely going to get a lot of that. You can see opportunity for involvement and interaction with people is one of mine. That's probably not going to happen in terms of that physical interaction. I am going to have to find ways to have more interaction with people online like we're doing here today. And you can see there's all different things that I need. Yours will be unique to you. So please have a look at that, because that's going to be almost the foundational work for you to think through in this self-leadership journey. What do I need? What drives me? What motivates me? And how am I going to turn up to work? And what do I need? And how can I go out and create some of these things for myself? Not waiting for your manager to come to you and give you these things, but for you to really carve out a path and put in place things that you need for yourself. So I will continue on. I can see we've got a Q&A here. Someone said, I'm quite low on the formality scale. Does that mean I'm irresponsible? Not at all. Definitely we find with low formality people, it just means you're less structured about how you get things done. It also plays into lots of your other drives. So if you have quite a high dominance drive, we might find you that you're incredibly responsible because you're thinking about the big picture and how you're going to get there. So we actually don't just look at your all of those 4 drivers singularly. We actually look at them in relation to each other, and it creates a really detailed picture of you and how you turn up to work. So have a look at your whole report and read through, because that's really going to start to articulate what drives you, what motivates you, and your behaviours at work. So let's have a look at step 2. So we've got sort of 3 steps to go through with you today. First was that self-awareness piece, which is what we've covered. And my last 2 steps for you are really key and really important. I've been reading some books on mindset and the different types of mindsets people have. And some of that's quite wide in us from a young age. Some kids, you know, will build a tower and it will knock over and they'll just go, oh my God, too hard, I'm not rebuilding. Other children will see it as an opportunity to do something even better. And they're not set back. They don't cry. They're not upset. They just go, great, now I'm going to build something better than the last. So I'd like you to think about, as an adult, how do you feel about challenge? Do you want to take it head on? Do you see it as an opportunity to be a better version of yourself? And that's really where you start to kick into that growth mindset. You're eager to learn, eager to understand, how can I grow during this time? Rather than how can I let the world sit on me and how can I just sit here and feel uncomfortable? Growth mindset's a powerful thing. It's about giving 100% all the time and really thinking about how can I use this situation, be my best self every day, be accountable every day. And when you think about leaders, they lead by example, they empower others. We went through a long list of things. Great leaders have this growth mindset. They're able to continue to push through and persevere. So I'd love you to think about, what are you doing to grow during this time? How can you get through this period of time better than when you started? Maybe you've put in place some new habits, because during this time, potentially if we're here for a couple of weeks, maybe longer than that, it's actually a great time to start forming habits. We know habits usually take 30 to 45 days to form. What new habits are you going to put in place? Maybe it's getting a workout in at home. Maybe it's walking around the block a couple of times. You know, maybe it's cooking a healthy meal. What are some of the things you're going to do for yourself personally and also professionally? So I'd like you to think about what you can do. This is a time to go through you, and self-leadership is about that self-awareness and also growth mindset. How will you take on this challenge personally and professionally? And lastly, I've put in here, drum roll, be thoughtful. And thoughtful, actually, for me, it encapsulates a lot of things. It's thoughtful about how you spend your time. So this image, I sort of laughed when I thought about it, because it is sitting back and sometimes reflecting a little bit and being thoughtful in setting your goals. How am I going to plan my day today? Because I could be quite overwhelmed with either how much work I have to do, the current situation. You can become a little bit overwhelmed, I think is probably just the best word to describe it. So how are you going to spend your time? Are you going to spend it wisely? Are you going to plan your day, get organized, and really be thoughtful and set intentions about how you're going to spend this time? So is that putting a routine in place? Is it the fact that actually I've now got time back? I see this as an opportunity because I've gone from commuting 2 hours, 2.5 hours a day. I've now got 2.5 hours back in my day. How are you going to spend that time? Are you going to be taking on a special project at work? Are you going to be doing something for yourself? It is an opportunity if you look at it that way. And I'd also like, when I think about being thoughtful, I think about even in our relationships with other people. How can we reach out to someone who we know might be feeling overwhelmed or challenged? How can we be thoughtful in the way that we communicate? There is nothing worse than getting bogged down in emails. We know that when we're communicating, emails is really inefficient. What will probably happen, instead of that interaction at work, people are going to be sending more emails. You need to think about, how can I be thoughtful in this email? Reread the email after you've written it. Have I actually said this the right way? Have I put a nice, actually, hello, how are you doing? What's your tone in that email? Have you structured it in a way that it makes sense for the other person? Be thoughtful with your intentions and in your relationships with other people. Be thoughtful for yourself and how you're going to turn up, but also thoughtful in your interactions that you're having with other people in your business and also in your personal and family life. I'd encourage you to think about how you can win the day. We've got some great content by another author around winning the day, and that's really looking back at the end of every day and feeling that you've accomplished something. So I'd encourage you to think about, maybe I'm going to write a list of 3 things I'm going to do today that if I achieve those 3 things, I have actually won the day. Not just a to-do list, but things that will make me feel like I'm progressing and I'm moving forward. And that might even be putting some habits in place about how you're going to get organized. Maybe it's growth mindset. I'm going to learn how to use Zoom or Teams or Google Hangouts or whatever technology your business is using. I'm going to go and learn a little bit about that because I don't know how to run an online meeting. You're in control of how much learning you do during this time. So I'm very up for taking any questions. If we've got questions coming in. Deb, I love that you love challenges. It's because of your Maverick profile. Also, I think we've had a question around high formality, finding it quite a challenging time with all the changes. And I think that's exactly right. When we talked about that high formality drive, we think about being precise and organized and diligent. And this environment may not have a lot of rules. And if there aren't a lot of rules and structure, you're going to find this time challenging. I'd encourage you to put some rules in place, things that you have control over in your job. Start writing those things down. What do I have control over? What can I put in place to give myself some structure? We've got another question is my predictive index likely to change over time as you grow and adapt as a manager? Your predictive index behavioral assessment results stay stable over time because it's measuring your drivers. And we would say unless you've had a significant life event. So we definitely say there's a huge amount of stability in your profile results. We would expect them to stay very stable over time. Another question is, well, it's actually a statement which is really valuable. It's a tough economic time. Now is the time to demonstrate to your business that you can provide value even when you're not in the office. And I love that. Thank you for that comment, because it's absolutely right. You need to, this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all of you to show what you can achieve, what you can do, even in tough times. Managers will be looking at the performance of people in their business during this time, and that's the reality of it. So think about how you can lead yourself and lead others and really grow and step up and show management and the business that you can still contribute, you can still play a valuable role in your team. We've got some other comments. Even though I'm a low D, I have set some routines in order to make working from home easier, because this is something that I'd never envisioned for me because I love the office. Absolutely. And that's some great things you've already put in place. If you're low formality, you will find you probably do need to put some rules and structure in around your own working from home process. So that is officially the end of our 30 minutes, which we have plowed through at 100 miles an hour. I hope you found this really insightful. We will be doing some more of these, so please stay tuned. We're going to be doing more in this Leadership Lab series. We're going to be talking a little bit more around leadership. And as you can see from our vision, it is about creating leaders at all levels, regardless of your job. So I'd encourage you to stay tuned. Please email me if you've got questions, or even better yet, ring me. Most of you all have my phone number. If you don't, email me and we can chat. You know I'm very open to having a conversation, so please reach out. And we will be sending a recording out as well. So for those of you who are in organisations and you've had some colleagues that have missed out today, feel free to share it with them. So yes, thank you everybody. Thank you for your questions. I love that we had lots of questions in there, and I look forward to talking to you all soon. Thank you everybody.